The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber glowed with soft blue light. 12 different alien species sat in their special seats, each designed for their unique bodies. The air was thick with worry and fear. Veltar, the tall crystal, being who spoke for the Nexari people, stood up slowly. His body made tiny ringing sounds like wind chimes as he moved. The room became quiet. All eyes, sensors, and other seeing organs turned to look at him. "Fellow council members," Veltar said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "We have a serious problem. The humans from Earth are moving too fast. They are taking over space in ways we have never seen before." The other aliens shifted in their seats. Some made worried sounds. Others glowed different colors to show their feelings. The Zephyrians, who looked like giant insects, clicked their claws together nervously. The water-breathing Thalassians bubbled in their special tanks. "In just 50 years," Veltar continued, "humans have built colonies on 17 different star systems. This should be impossible. It took our people 3,000 years to reach 5 star systems. The Zephyrians needed 2,000 years for their first colony. How can humans do this so fast?" A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a map of known space. Red dots marked human colonies. There were so many red dots that some council members gasped. The dots seemed to be everywhere. "Look at this," said Korthak, the military leader of the armored Kethmore people. His metal shell clanked as he pointed at the hologram. "Humans are building cities faster than we can count them. They are digging mines that produce more metals in 1 year than our mines produce in 10 years. Something is very wrong here." The room filled with worried chatter. Different alien voices mixed together, creating a sound like a strange orchestra. Some spoke in clicking sounds, others in musical tones, and a few in deep, rumbling voices. Veltar raised his crystal arm to ask for quiet. "We must call the human representative here. We need answers. If humans are using forbidden technology or breaking our treaties, we must know." The other council members agreed. They voted quickly. Within minutes, a message was sent across space to Earth's embassy. The message was simple but serious. "Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim must come to the council chamber immediately. This is an emergency meeting." Meanwhile, in the Earth Embassy building on the council station, Ambassador Hyun-Woo Kim was having lunch with his aide, So-Young Park. They were eating simple rice and vegetables, talking about normal daily business. Hyun-Woo was a calm man in his 50s. His black hair had some gray in it, and he wore simple clothes that looked comfortable rather than fancy. He had been Earth's representative for 5 years now. In that time, he had learned that most aliens thought humans were strange, but he never understood why. So-Young was younger, in her 30s, with bright eyes that missed nothing. She handled most of the paperwork and helped Hyun-Woo understand the complicated alien politics of the council. "Sir," So-Young said, looking at her communication device, "we just got an emergency message from the council. They want you in the chamber right now." Hyun-Woo finished chewing his rice slowly. He did not look worried or surprised. "What do they want to talk about?" So-Young read the message again. "They did not say exactly, but the message came from Speaker Veltar himself. That means it is very important." Hyun-Woo nodded and stood up. He straightened his simple blue suit and checked that his hair was neat. "Well, we should not keep them waiting. Do you have the files about our recent colony reports?" "Yes, sir. Should I bring them?" "Bring everything. Colony reports, construction schedules, worker schedules, safety reports, all of it." So Young looked puzzled. Do you think they want to ask about our colonies? Hyun-woo smiled a small smile. I think they want to ask about many things. But do not worry. We have nothing to hide. They walked through the station's corridors, toward the council chamber. The station was huge, built to hold many different types of aliens. The ceilings were very high for tall species, and there were water-filled tubes for swimming species. The walls had different types of lighting for species that saw different colors. As they walked, they passed other aliens. Most looked at them with curious eyes. Humans were still new to the galaxy, and many aliens had never seen humans before. Some aliens moved away when they saw the humans coming. Others stared openly. Sir, So Young whispered, do you notice that everyone seems nervous around us today? Hyun-woo had noticed. Yes. Something has them worried. We will find out what soon enough. They reached the great doors of the council chamber. The doors were as tall as a building and made of some metal that changed colors. 2 guards stood by the doors. The guards were from the warrior species called the Ironhearts. They looked like robots but were actually living beings with metal skin. Ambassador Kim, one guard said in a voice like grinding metal, the council is waiting for you. The huge doors opened slowly. Hyun-woo and So Young walked into the chamber. The dome above them was beautiful, but the feeling in the room was not. 12 pairs of alien eyes watched them walk to the center of the room. Hyun-woo bowed politely to the council, the way he always did. So Young bowed too. They stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the curved rows of council seats. Speaker Veltar, Hyun-woo said in a calm voice, thank you for inviting us. How can Earth help the council today? Veltar's crystal body glowed brighter for a moment. This was how his people showed strong feelings. Ambassador Kim, we need to discuss Earth's activities in space. We have concerns about how fast humans are expanding. Hyun-woo nodded. Of course, we are happy to answer any questions. The Council has been watching human colonies, Veltar continued. What we see worries us. Humans build cities in months, not years. You dig mines that produce impossible amounts of materials. You terraform planets at speeds that should not be possible. We need to know how you do this. The chamber was very quiet. All the aliens leaned forward in their seats, waiting for the answer. Hyun-woo looked around the room. He saw fear in some alien faces, anger in others, and confusion in most. So Young stood beside him, her hands holding the files they had brought. Honored council members, Hyun-woo said slowly, I think there may be some misunderstanding about human activities. We are happy to explain everything we do. We have nothing to hide from our friends in the galaxy. Friends? Buzzed one of the Zephyrians. Friends do not expand so aggressively. Friends do not build military-grade installations on every world they touch. Hyun-woo looked confused. Military-grade installations? I am sorry, but I do not understand. We build normal human cities and normal human workplaces. The tension in the room grew thicker. Some aliens made nervous sounds. Others glowed different colors. A few clicked or hummed with worry. Veltar spoke again. Ambassador Kim, we will present our evidence tomorrow. We have detailed reports about human activities. Some of these activities appear to violate galactic treaties about expansion and resource use. We hope you can explain these things. Hyun-woo bowed again. We will be ready to answer all questions, Speaker Veltar. Thank you for giving us this chance to clear up any confusion. As they left the chamber, So Young whispered, "Sir, they seem very scared of us." Hyun-woo nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, but I am not sure why. We have been very careful to follow all the rules. They did not know that tomorrow would change everything." The next morning, the council chamber was full of nervous energy. All 12 alien species had prepared their evidence against humanity. Files, recordings, and holograms were ready to show the impossible things humans had been doing in space. Hyun-woo and So Young entered the chamber at exactly the right time. They looked calm and rested. Hyun-woo carried a simple bag with some papers. So Young had a small computer device. They did not look like people who were about to be accused of breaking galactic law. In the observation area above the main chamber, several other humans sat quietly. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee was there, wearing his clean uniform. He was a serious man who had fought in Earth's last war before humans reached space. Next to him sat other Earth officials who had come to watch the meeting. Speaker Veltar stood up, his crystal body ringing softly. "Today we will present evidence about human expansion activities. We ask all council members to listen carefully and think about what these activities mean for galactic peace." The first to speak was Commander Zekthul of the Zephyrians. His insect-like body was covered in shiny green armor. His 4 arms moved as he talked, and his large eyes reflected the chamber's lights. "Look at this evidence." Zekthul clicked. A hologram appeared showing a human colony. "This planet was empty rock 3 months ago. Now it has a city with 2 million humans. Buildings, roads, power plants, farms, everything built in 90 days. The hologram showed before and after pictures. The before picture showed bare ground and rocks. The after picture showed a huge city with tall buildings and busy streets. "This is impossible," Zekthul continued. "Our fastest colony construction takes 5 years minimum, usually 10 years. No species builds cities in 3 months unless they use forbidden terraforming chemicals." Murmurs of agreement came from other council members. The crystal Nexari glowed with worry. The water-dwelling Thalassians bubbled nervously in their tanks. Next spoke Admiral Morgeth of the Thalassians. Her blue fish-like body moved gracefully in her water tank. Her voice came through speakers that translated her water speech into sounds other species could understand. "The humans are also taking too many resources," she said. "Look at this mining data from the Kepler 442 system." New holograms appeared. They showed numbers and charts that made several aliens gasp. In 1 year, humans took more metal from this system than the Kethmore people take from their home system in 20 years. They are using mining methods that should be impossible. Either they have secret technology, or they are using slave labor. The armored Kethmore representative, General Korthak, clanked his metal fists together. "We demand to know what machines humans use for mining. Our best equipment cannot work this fast." More evidence came from other species. The gas-floating ethereals showed data about human atmospheric processors. The rock-eating lithoids presented information about human construction speeds. Each piece of evidence made humans look more dangerous. "Here is the most worrying evidence," said Veltar. He activated a hologram that showed 17 different star systems. Each system had multiple human colonies. 50 years ago, humans had 1 planet, Earth. Today, they have major colonies on 63 worlds across 17 systems. This expansion rate is faster than any military conquest in galactic history. Even the ancient destroyer wars did not spread this quickly. The chamber filled with worried sounds. Some aliens made clicking noises. Others hummed low notes of fear. A few species glowed warning colors. "We must also consider their construction methods," added Counselor Nix of the shadow being Umbral Collective. Her dark form shifted like smoke as she spoke. "Humans build structures that other species would consider military fortifications. Every human city has power systems that could support weapons. Every human building is built to survive attacks." Ambassador Hyun-woo listened to all of this without changing his expression. He took some notes on a simple paper pad. Sometimes. He looked confused, but he did not look guilty or worried. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee, watching from above, also took notes. He wrote down each accusation carefully. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were very focused. "There is more," said Chief Analyst Quintar of the Energy Being Photonic Confederation. His body was made of living light that pulsed as he spoke. "Human work sites operate continuously. Our spy satellites show human colonies working day and night without stopping. This suggests either robots doing all the work or humans using stimulant drugs to avoid sleep. The evidence suggests," Veltar concluded, "that humans are either using forbidden technology, employing slave labor, using illegal drugs, or all three. No natural species could achieve this level of construction and resource extraction." The council chamber became very quiet. All alien eyes turned to look at Ambassador Hyun-woo. The weight of their accusations hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Hyun-woo stood up slowly. He looked around the chamber at all the worried alien faces. He seemed to be thinking carefully about what to say. "Honored council members," he began, "I want to thank you for showing us this evidence. It helps me understand why you are concerned about human activities." He paused and looked at his notes. "However, I think there may be some misunderstandings about how humans work and live. Before I respond to these accusations, may I ask the council some questions?" Veltar's crystal body rang with uncertainty. "What questions do you have, Ambassador?" "Simple questions about how your species live and work," Hyun-woo said. "For example, how many hours per day do your people typically work?" The question seemed strange to the aliens. They looked at each other with confusion. "Why does this matter?" asked Commander Zekthul. "It will help me explain human activities," Hyun-woo replied. "Please, how many hours do your people work each day?" Veltar answered first. "Nexari people work 6 hours per day. We need long rest periods to regenerate our crystal structures." "Zephyrians work 4 hours daily," clicked Commander Zekthul. "More work would damage our delicate nervous systems." Other aliens gave their answers. The Thalassians worked 5 hours. The Kethmore worked 8 hours, but only every other day. The Ethereals worked 3 hours. Most species worked between 3 and 8 hours per day. "And how many hours do your people sleep?" Hyun-woo asked. Again, the answers varied. Most species needed 12 to 16 hours of sleep. Some needed even more. The shortest sleep period was 10 hours for the hardy Kethmore. Hyun-woo wrote down all these numbers. He looked at So Young, who was also taking notes. She nodded to him. "Thank you for this information," Hyun-woo said. "Now I understand why our activities seem impossible to you. Tomorrow I would like to show the Council how humans actually work and live. I think this will answer all your questions about our expansion speed." "Are you saying humans work differently than other species?" asked Admiral Morgeth. "Yes," Hyun-woo said simply. "We work very differently. But we do not use forbidden technology. We do not use slave labor. We do not use illegal drugs. We just work differently." The aliens looked at each other with confusion and worry. What could be so different about human work methods? "Very well," said Veltar. "Tomorrow you may present your explanation. But Ambassador Kim, these accusations are very serious. If humans are violating galactic treaties, there will be consequences." Hyunwoo bowed politely. "I understand, Speaker Veltar. Tomorrow, everything will be clear." As the humans left the chamber, the aliens continued to discuss the evidence. None of them could imagine what explanation could justify such impossible achievements. In the observation area, military advisor Jae-hyun Lee packed up his notes. He had a small smile on his face. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting. The other Earth officials looked worried, but Jae-hyun was not concerned. He knew exactly how humans worked, and he knew that tomorrow the galactic community was going to learn something that would change everything. The council had no idea what was coming. The third day arrived with tension filling the council chamber like thick fog. All 12 alien species had gathered again, but this time they seemed more curious than angry. They wanted to hear what impossible explanation humans could give for their expansion activities. Ambassador Hyun-woo entered the chamber with So-young Park beside him. Today they brought more people with them. Da-yun Choi, Earth's chief engineer, walked behind them carrying a large case of equipment. Woo Jin-han, the terraforming specialist, had several data tablets in his hands. In the observation area, more humans had arrived. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee sat with other Earth officials. Today he looked more relaxed, almost amused. He knew what was about to happen. Speaker Veltar stood up, his crystal body catching the chamber's light. "Ambassador Kim, the Council is ready to hear your explanation for human expansion activities. Please proceed." Hyun-woo walked to the center of the chamber. He looked calm and confident, not like someone defending against serious accusations. "Thank you, Speaker Veltar," he said. "Yesterday, you asked how humans could build cities so fast, mine so many resources, and expand across space so quickly. The answer is simple, but I think it will surprise you." He paused and looked around at all, the alien faces watching him. "The answer is that humans work longer and harder than other species. That is all. No secret technology, no forbidden chemicals, no slave labor. We just work more hours each day than you do." The chamber filled with confused sounds. Some aliens clicked skeptically. Others hummed with disbelief. The crystal Nexari glowed with doubt. "Impossible," buzzed Commander Zekthul of the Zephyrians. "No species can work more than 8 hours per day without serious health problems. The Galactic Health Organization has proven this many times." Hyun-woo smiled slightly. "Commander Zekthul, what you said is true for your species and most others. But humans are different. So-young, would you please show the Council our standard work schedules?" So-young activated a holographic display. Numbers and charts appeared in the air above the chamber floor. "This shows a typical human work schedule," she said. "Most humans work 12 to 16 hours per day. Some work even longer when needed." The chamber erupted with shocked sounds. Aliens made noises of disbelief and worry. 16 hours? Gasped Admiral Morgeth of the Thalassians. "That would kill any Thalassian within days. How do humans survive this?" "We survive it very well," Hyun-woo said. "Da-yun, would you please explain how our construction teams work?" Da-eun Choi stepped forward. She was a small woman with strong hands and practical clothes. Her voice was clear and confident. "I manage construction teams on New Sol Colony," she said. Our teams work in 3 shifts. Each shift works 14 hours. When one shift finishes, the next shift starts immediately. This means construction continues 24 hours per day, every day. The aliens stared at her in shock. The idea of working without stopping seemed impossible to them. "But when do your workers rest?" asked Counselor Nix of the Umbral Collective. "Each worker gets 10 hours off between shifts," Dayun explained. 8 hours for sleep, 2 hours for eating and personal time, then they return to work. 8 hours of sleep? The gas-floating ethereal representative pulsed with amazement. "Our people need 16 hours of sleep minimum. How can humans function on only 8 hours? Wu Jinhan stepped forward next. He was a tall man with weathered skin from working outdoors on many different planets. "Human biology is different," he said. "We need less sleep than most species, and we can work in conditions that other species cannot." "What do you mean?" asked General Korthak of the armored Kethmore. "For example," Wu Jin said, "we terraformed the Kepler 442b colony during winter. The temperature was -40 degrees. Our workers wore heating suits and continued construction through ice storms that lasted for weeks." The aliens made sounds of disbelief. Working in such conditions seemed like suicide to them. "We also work at night," Daun added. "Most species stop working when their planet's sun goes down. Humans use artificial lights and continue working." Through the dark hours, Speaker Veltar's crystal body glowed with confusion. "This is difficult to believe. Working in darkness, in freezing temperatures, for 14 hours at a time, no species can do this safely." "Humans can," Hyunwoo said simply. "So Young, please show them our medical data." New holograms appeared, showing health statistics from human colonies. "This data covers all human workers in space colonies," So Young explained. "As you can see, working 14-hour shifts does not harm human health. In fact, many humans report that they enjoy hard work." "Enjoy hard work?" The shadow being Nick seemed to flicker with confusion. "Work is a necessity for survival. No species enjoys work itself." Hyunwoo laughed softly. "Humans are strange that way. We often compete with each other to see who can work faster or longer. We take pride in completing difficult jobs." "This is impossible," declared Commander Zekthul. "The Galactic Health Organization has studied work limits for thousands of years. No species can safely work more than 8 hours per day." "The Galactic Health Organization studied other species," Hyunwoo replied. "They never studied humans because we were not members of the galactic community yet." Da-Yun stepped forward again. "Would the Council like to see video recordings of human work sites? This might help you understand better." The aliens looked at each other uncertainly. Some seemed curious. Others looked worried about what they might see. "Show us," said Veltar. A large hologram activated, showing a human construction site on New Buzan colony. The recording was taken from above, showing hundreds of human workers building a city. The aliens watched in amazement as humans moved quickly between tasks. Workers carried heavy materials that would require machines for other species. They climbed tall structures without fear. They worked smoothly together like parts of a great machine. This recording was made during a night shift, Dayun explained. "Notice how the workers use portable lights to continue building in darkness. This is normal for human construction." The hologram showed workers laughing and talking while they worked. Some were singing songs, others were competing to see who could complete tasks fastest. "Are those workers enjoying themselves?" asked Admiral Morgoth in amazement. "Yes," Dayun said. "Human workers often sing, joke, and compete while working. It makes the work more fun and helps them work faster. Fun? The energy being Quintar pulsed brightly. Work is never fun. Work is a burden that species must endure. Not for humans, Wu Jin said. We actually get bored if we do not have enough work to do. The chamber filled with confused alien voices. The idea of enjoying work was completely foreign to them. There is something else you should know, Hyunwoo said. The work schedules and methods you have seen today represent humans working at a relaxed pace. Relaxed pace? Several aliens spoke at the same time, their voices filled with shock. Yes, Hyunwoo said calmly. Since joining the galactic community, we have been trying to work more slowly. We did not want to make other species uncomfortable by working too fast. The silence in the chamber was complete. Every alien stared at the humans with expressions of disbelief. You mean, you have been holding back? Whispered Speaker Veltar. Yes, Hyunwoo said. We wanted to be good neighbors. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee watched from the observation area with a slight smile. The real explanation was just beginning. The council had no idea how much more shocking information was coming. The council chamber was so quiet that the only sounds were the soft humming of life support systems and the gentle bubbling from the Thalassian water tanks. Every alien representative stared at the humans with expressions that mixed disbelief, confusion, and growing concern. Speaker Veltar was the first to break the silence. His crystal body flickered between different colors as he struggled to process what he had heard. Ambassador Kim, he said slowly, you claim that humans have been restraining themselves, working at a slow pace to be polite? That is correct, Hyunwoo replied calmly. When we first joined the galactic community, we studied how other species worked. We noticed that our natural work pace made other species nervous. So we decided to work more slowly. Commander Zekthul of the Zephyrians clicked his claws together rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his people. This is impossible, he buzzed. What you call slow work is already beyond the capabilities of any known species. If humans can work even faster than what we have seen, he did not finish the sentence. The implications were too frightening. Mira Song, Earth's xenobiologist, stepped forward from the group of human observers. She was a cheerful woman with bright eyes and a friendly smile that somehow made the aliens even more nervous. May I explain human biology to the council? She asked. I think it will help you understand why humans can work differently than other species. Veltar nodded, though his crystal body continued to flicker with uncertainty. Mira activated a new holographic display. It showed a human body with various biological systems highlighted in different colors. Human sleep requirements are much lower than other galactic species, she began. While most of you need 12 to 16 hours of sleep, humans typically need only 6 to 8 hours. Some humans can function normally on as little as 4 hours of sleep for extended periods. Admiral Morgeth made a shocked bubbling sound in her water tank. 4 hours? That would cause permanent brain damage in Thalassians. It does not harm humans, Mira continued. In fact, during emergencies, humans can stay awake for several days with no permanent damage. The longest recorded time a human has stayed awake is 11 days. The aliens made various sounds of disbelief. The idea of staying awake for 11 days seemed like science fiction to them. There is more, Mira said. Human bodies produce something called adrenaline when we face challenges or stress. This chemical makes us stronger, faster, and able to work longer hours. Many humans actually seek out stressful situations because they enjoy the feeling adrenaline gives them. You enjoy stress? Asked Counselor Nix, her shadow form wavering with confusion. Many humans do, Mira said. We call it excitement. The more challenging a job is, the more excited we become. Difficult work makes us happy. Tai Ho Jung, a construction foreman, joined the group of humans presenting to the council. He was a big man, with strong arms and hands covered in small scars from years of work. "May I show the council some of our safety equipment?" he asked. Without waiting for an answer, he opened a large case and began pulling out various items. The aliens leaned forward to see what he was showing them. "This is a standard human work suit," Taeho said, holding up what looked like a simple jumpsuit. "It protects us from temperatures between -60 and +80 degrees Celsius." Several aliens gasped. Those temperature ranges would kill most galactic species instantly. "This helmet lets us work in poisonous atmospheres," he continued, showing them a clear helmet with breathing equipment. "And these boots let us walk on surfaces that would burn through most alien protective gear." He pulled out more equipment. Tools that could cut through metal, devices that protected humans from radiation, and suits that allowed underwater work at crushing depths. "To other species, these might look like military equipment," Taeho said. "But for humans, this is just normal safety gear for construction work." General Korthak of the Kethmore leaned forward in his metal suit. Even his warrior species found this equipment impressive. "Those tools could be used as weapons," he said. "Yes," Taeho agreed cheerfully. "Most human tools can be used as weapons if needed, but we use them for building things." Yoonji Nam, Earth's chief medical officer, stepped forward next. She was a small, serious woman who spoke with quiet authority. "The council asked yesterday about human work schedules," she said. "You seemed concerned that continuous work would cause health problems. I have brought medical data from all human colonies." New holograms appeared, showing detailed health statistics. "As you can see," Yoonji said, "humans who work longer hours are actually healthier than humans who work shorter hours. Hard work makes our bodies stronger, not weaker. This violates all known biological principles," protested the energy being Quintar. "Excessive work causes cellular breakdown in every known species." "Not in humans," Yoonji replied. "Human cells respond to stress by becoming stronger. Our bones become denser when we work hard. Our muscles grow larger. Our hearts become more efficient." She activated another display showing human physiology. "This is why humans can work in dangerous conditions," she explained. "Our bodies are designed to adapt to challenges. The more difficult the environment, the stronger we become." The chamber filled with worried murmurs. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans were not just different. They were fundamentally unlike any other known species. "There is something else," Yoonji continued. "The work schedules you have seen represent humans working alone, as individuals. But humans usually work in groups." "What difference does that make?" asked Admiral Morgeth. "When humans work together in groups, they become more efficient," Yoonji explained. "We compete with each other, encourage each other, and push each other to work harder. Group work makes individual humans perform far beyond their normal capabilities." Kyung-ho Yoon, a mining supervisor, stepped forward with a broad smile on his weathered face. "Last month, my mining team had a contest," he said. "We wanted to see if we could finish our 3-month project in 6 weeks. "Did you succeed?" asked Speaker Veltar, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. "We finished in 5 weeks," Kyung-ho said proudly, and we had fun doing it. The team that extracted the most ore got extra vacation time. You competed to work harder? The shadow being Nyx flickered rapidly with confusion. Of course, Kyung-ho said. Competition makes work more interesting. My teams often compete to see who can work the longest hours or finish the most difficult jobs. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. A species that competed to work harder was beyond their understanding. This explains your construction. Speeds, General Korthak said slowly. But it raises new questions. If humans can work this hard voluntarily, what happens when humans are forced to work? The chamber became very quiet. Every alien suddenly realized they were asking about human capabilities during wartime or emergencies. Hyunwoo looked around the chamber with a calm expression. That is a very good question, General. But perhaps we should save that topic for tomorrow. I think the Council has heard enough shocking information for one day. The aliens sat in stunned silence. They had learned that humans worked longer, harder, and in more dangerous conditions than any other species. They had learned that humans enjoyed difficult work and competed to work even harder, and now they realized that everything they had learned was about humans working voluntarily in peacetime while trying to be polite to other species. What would humans be capable of if they stopped being polite? The Council was beginning to understand that they might not want to know the answer to that question. The fourth day brought a different atmosphere to the Council chamber. The previous day's revelations about human work capabilities had left the alien representatives struggling to sleep. Many had spent the night in emergency meetings with their home governments, trying to understand what they had learned. When Ambassador Hyunwoo and his team entered the chamber, they found 12 pairs of alien eyes watching them with a mixture of fear, fascination, and disbelief. The atmosphere was tense, like the moment before a storm. Speaker Veltar stood up slowly, his crystal body glowing with nervous energy. Ambassador Kim, the Council has had time to consider yesterday's information. We have questions. Of course, Hyunwoo replied politely. We are happy to answer any questions. Commander Zekthul of the Zephyrians clicked forward on his insect legs. His 4 arms gestured rapidly as he spoke, showing his agitation. You claim that humans work 14 to 16 hours daily and enjoy it, he buzzed. You say this is humans working slowly to be polite. This suggests that humans normally work even longer hours. That is correct, Hyunwoo said simply. How much longer? The question came from several aliens at once. Hyunwoo looked at his team of experts. Yoonji, would you please explain normal human work patterns? Yoonji Nam, the medical officer, stepped forward with her data tablets. Her calm, professional manner somehow made her words even more frightening to the aliens. During normal periods on Earth, she said, most humans work between 18 and 20 hours per day. Some work longer. The chamber erupted with shocked sounds. Aliens clicked, hummed, bubbled, and glowed with disbelief. 20 hours? Gasped Admiral Morgoth. That leaves only 4 hours for sleep and personal time. How is this possible? Humans are very efficient, Yoonji explained. We eat quickly, usually while working. We sleep deeply for 4 to 6 hours. We spend very little time on personal maintenance compared to other species. General Korthak of the armored Kethmore leaned forward in his metal suit. What about recreation? Rest periods? Cultural activities? Most humans consider work to be recreation, Yoonji said. We enjoy solving problems, building things, and achieving goals. For humans, work and play are often the same thing. The aliens struggled to understand this concept. For every known galactic species, work was something unpleasant that had to be endured. The idea of enjoying work was completely foreign. But surely humans have limits, insisted the energy being Quintar. No species can maintain such activity levels indefinitely. Actually, said Haiwan Kang, stepping forward, humans work harder when we face challenges or deadlines. Haiwan was a colony coordinator, a cheerful woman who had helped establish 15 different human settlements. Her friendly smile made the aliens even more nervous. Last year, we needed to evacuate New Kyoto Colony before a solar storm arrived, she said. We had 72 hours to move 2 million people and all their belongings to safety. That sounds impossible, said Counselor Nix, her shadow form flickering with doubt. We did it in 58 hours, Haiwan said proudly. The entire colony worked together. No one slept for 3 days. People worked until they collapsed, then got up and worked more. People collapsed from exhaustion. Admiral Morgeth made worried bubbling sounds. Oh yes, Haiwan said cheerfully. But they were angry about collapsing because it meant they could not help with the evacuation. Most of them tried to get back to work before the medical teams cleared them. The aliens stared at her in horror. The idea of being angry about needing medical rest was beyond their comprehension. There is more, said Dongmin Seo, a logistics coordinator. He was a thin man with quick eyes and hands that moved constantly as he talked. When humans have a goal, we do not stop until we achieve it, he said. Last month, my team was supposed to build a spaceport in 6 months. But we heard that another team was building a similar spaceport and trying to finish first. What happened? Asked Speaker Veltar, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. We finished our spaceport in 11 weeks, Dongmin said. We worked in 4-hour shifts around the clock. The team slept in rotation so work never stopped. We beat the other team by 3 days. You competed with another human team? The shadow being Nix seemed to waver with confusion. Of course, Dongmin said. Competition makes humans work better. When we know someone else is trying to beat us, we work much harder. Jin-A Lim, Earth's cultural attaché, stepped forward. She was an elderly woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice that made her words seem even more shocking. Perhaps I should explain human competitive culture, she said. Humans compete about everything. We compete to see who can work longest, lift the heaviest objects, solve the most difficult problems, or build the most impressive structures. This competition, asked General Korthak, does it ever lead to violence? Sometimes, Jin-A admitted. But usually we compete by working harder. Violence is less fun than outworking your rivals. The aliens made various sounds of disbelief. A species that preferred work competition to violence was completely unprecedented. Let me show you something, said Sang-Ho Park, appearing via hologram from a human colony. Sang-Ho was a construction foreman on New Incheon, a mining colony on the edge of human space. He appeared to be calling from a work site with industrial noise and shouting voices in the background. Honored Council, he said, I wanted to show you a normal human work site. The hologram expanded to show the mining operation around him. Hundreds of humans moved quickly between massive machines. The work looked dangerous and exhausting, but the workers were laughing and singing. We are currently digging the deepest mine in human space, Sang-Ho explained. The temperature down here is 90 degrees Celsius. The air is full of toxic gases. The work is very dangerous. Why do you work in such conditions? Asked Admiral Morgeth. Because it is fun, Sang-Ho said with a big smile. This mine is a challenge. Every day we go deeper than any human has gone before. My team loves setting new records. Records for what? Asked Commander Zekthul. Deepest excavation, most ore extracted in one day, longest shift worked, most dangerous conditions survived, Sang-Ho listed. We compete for all of these. Are you saying humans work harder when conditions are more dangerous? Speaker Veltar's crystal body flickered rapidly. Yes, Sang-Ho said. Danger makes work more exciting. Safe work is boring. The chamber fell silent as the aliens absorbed this information. A species that worked harder in dangerous conditions was their worst nightmare. There is something else, Sang-Ho continued. My team just heard about a new colony that needs emergency construction help. We volunteered to finish our mining quota 3 months early so we can go help them. You volunteered for additional work? The energy being Quintar pulsed brightly with shock. Of course, Sang-Ho said. The new colony sounds like an interesting challenge. We heard they need to build a city on a planet with constant earthquakes and poisonous rain. That sounds like fun. The hologram ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Finally, Speaker Veltar found his voice. Ambassador Kim, what we have learned today suggests that human work capabilities far exceed anything in the galaxy. But these are still civilian activities. What about military situations? Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at all the worried alien faces. Speaker Veltar, I think that question deserves a full answer. Tomorrow, if the Council wishes, we can discuss how humans work during emergencies and conflicts. The aliens looked at each other with expressions of dread. They had learned that humans worked 20 hours per day for fun, competed to work in dangerous conditions, and volunteered for additional challenges. None of them were sure they wanted to know what humans could do when they were actually trying. But they knew they had to find out. The 5th day brought an atmosphere of dread to the council chamber. Word had spread throughout the galactic station about the human presentations. Aliens who normally never attended council meetings had requested permission to observe. The viewing galleries were packed with representatives from dozens of species, all wanting to witness what had become the most shocking series of revelations in galactic history. Ambassador Hyunwoo entered with his full team, but today they were joined by additional humans. Military advisor Jae-Hyun Lee walked beside Hyunwoo, his uniform crisp and his expression serious. Behind them came specialists from various human colonies, each carrying data about their work in extreme conditions. The tension in the chamber was so thick it seemed to press down on everyone present. Even the usually calm Nexari were glowing with nervous energy. Speaker Veltar stood slowly, his crystal body ringing with what sounded like funeral bells. Ambassador Kim, the Council, has decided we must understand the full scope of human capabilities. We ask you to explain how humans work during emergencies and military situations. Very well, Hyunwoo said. But I want to be clear about something first. Everything we have shown you so far represents humans working in peacetime, during normal conditions, while trying to be considerate neighbors. He paused and looked around the chamber. What we will discuss today shows humans working under pressure. Military advisor Jae-Hyun Lee stepped forward. He was a stocky man with graying hair and eyes that had seen combat. When he spoke, his voice carried absolute authority. During the Titan Rebellion 15 years ago, he began, Earth needed to build a space fleet quickly. Our shipyards were asked to produce 50 warships in 6 months. 6 months? Commander. Zekthul clicked nervously. Our fastest shipyards need 5 years to build one warship. We built 87 ships in 4 months, Jae-hyun said matter-of-factly. The chamber erupted with shocked sounds. Aliens made noises of disbelief, fear, and amazement. Impossible, declared General Korthak. No species can build warships that quickly. Human shipyard workers switched to emergency schedules, Jae-hyun explained. They worked in 8-hour rotating shifts, 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. No breaks, no days off, no reduced production. For 4 months. Admiral Morgeth bubbled with horror. Workers would die from exhaustion. No one died, Jae-hyun said. In fact, worker morale was higher than normal. The shipyard workers were excited to set new production records. Young Mi Kim, a shipyard supervisor, stepped forward. She was a small woman with oil-stained hands and bright, enthusiastic eyes. Managed Construction Bay 7 during the emergency, she said. My team was supposed to build 6 ships. We built 14. How? Asked Counselor Nix, her shadow form wavering with confusion. We worked smarter and faster, young Mi explained. When we heard that Construction Bay 5 was building 12 ships, we got competitive. We started working extra hours to beat their record. Extra hours beyond the emergency schedule? The energy being Quintar pulsed rapidly. My team worked 12-hour shifts instead of 8-hour shifts, young Mi said proudly. And we came in early and stayed late. Some workers slept in the shipyard so they could work more hours. They chose to sleep at work? Speaker Veltar's crystal body flickered with disbelief. Yes, young Mi said. Sleeping at home wasted time traveling back and forth. Sleeping at the shipyard meant more time for building ships. The alien stared at her in shock. The idea of choosing to sleep at work to enable more work was beyond their understanding. There is more, said Jae-hyun. During the emergency, Earth also needed to evacuate 3 million civilians from the war zone. How long did this evacuation take? Asked Admiral Morgeth. 18 hours, Jae-hyun replied. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the background humming of life support systems seemed to pause. 18 hours to move 3 million people, whispered Speaker Veltar. Human transport crews worked without stopping, Jae-hyun explained. Pilots flew continuous missions for 18 hours straight. Ground crews loaded ships as fast as humanly possible. Everyone worked at maximum capacity. Did anyone collapse? Asked the shadow being Nix. Several hundred people, Jae-hyun admitted. But they were angry about it. Most tried to return to work immediately after medical treatment. Hae Young Seo, an emergency coordinator, stepped forward. She was a calm woman with steady hands and a voice that had guided millions of people through disasters. I coordinated the evacuation, she said. The most difficult part was preventing volunteers from overworking themselves. Volunteers? Asked Commander Zek Thul. When people heard about the evacuation, thousands of off-duty workers volunteered to help, Hae Young explained. We had more volunteers than we could use. People were competing for the chance to work extra hours during the emergency. They competed to work during a dangerous military emergency? General Korthak leaned forward in his metal suit. Yes, Hae Young said. Emergencies bring out the best in humans. When people are in danger, humans will work harder than they ever work for personal benefit. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. A species that worked harder during emergencies was a terrifying concept. Let me show you something, said Jin-Ho Park, appearing via hologram from New Seoul Colony. Jin-Ho was a disaster response coordinator, a weathered man with kind eyes and hands scarred from rescue work. 3 months ago, Our colony was hit by a massive earthquake, he said. Half the city was destroyed. We had 48 hours before a second earthquake was predicted to finish destroying everything. What did your people do? Asked Admiral Morgeth. We rebuilt the city in 36 hours, Jinho said simply. The chamber filled with shocked alien voices. The idea of rebuilding a city in 36 hours seemed like fantasy. The entire colony worked together, Jinho continued. Children carried supplies. Elderly people cooked food for workers. Everyone who could hold a tool was part of the construction effort. Children worked during a disaster? Counselor Nix flickered rapidly. Human children wanted to help, Jinho explained. We had to assign adults to prevent children from working too hard. Some 8-year-old children tried to carry materials that weighed more than they did. And the elderly people? Asked Speaker Veltar. They were angry that they could not do heavy construction work, Jinho said. So they organized food production and medical care. Some 90-year-old humans worked for 36 hours straight cooking meals for the construction teams. The aliens stared in horrified fascination. A species where children and elderly people volunteered for emergency work was unprecedented. But the most amazing thing, Jinho continued, was that people kept working even after we finished rebuilding. They said the emergency construction was fun, so they wanted to build additional improvements to the city. They wanted to keep working after the emergency was over. The energy being Quintar pulsed so brightly that several aliens had to shield their eyes. Yes, Jinho smiled. We had to officially end the emergency and order people to stop working. Many were disappointed. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Every alien representative sat frozen, trying to process what they had learned. Finally, Speaker Veltar found his voice. Ambassador Kim, what we have heard today suggests that humans become more capable during emergencies, not less capable. That is correct, Hyunwoo said calmly. And that humans volunteer to work harder when others are in danger? Also correct. And that human children and elderly people participate in emergency work? Yes. The aliens looked at each other with expressions of pure terror. They had discovered a species that worked harder during crises, competed to help during emergencies, and involved their entire population in emergency responses. Ambassador Kim, Speaker Veltar said slowly, we have one final question. You have shown us humans working in peacetime and during emergencies. But what happens when humans are truly threatened? What happens when humans go to war? Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at all the frightened alien faces. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee stepped closer to him. Speaker Veltar, Hyunwoo said, quietly, I think that question requires very careful consideration. Perhaps we should discuss it tomorrow. The aliens sat in terrified silence. They had learned that human peacetime work exceeded their wartime capabilities. They had learned that humans worked harder during emergencies than other species could work under any conditions. Now they were about to learn what humans could do when they stopped being polite entirely. None of them were sure they wanted to know. The sixth day brought crowds to the council station unlike anything in galactic history. News of the human presentations had spread across space. Representatives from over 50 species had arrived to witness what many were calling the day the galaxy changed forever. The council chamber had been expanded with additional viewing areas. Aliens who had never shown interest in council proceedings now watched with intense focus. The atmosphere was electric with tension and fear. Several council members had requested additional security. Others had contacted their home governments for emergency instructions. Some had suggested postponing the meeting entirely, but morbid curiosity won over caution. Ambassador Hyun-woo entered with his full diplomatic team, but today military advisor Jae-hyun Lee led the group. The military advisor wore his formal dress, uniform complete with medals that caught the chamber's lights. Behind him walked other humans in military dress. Generals, admirals, and combat veterans from Earth's various conflicts. The sight of humans in military uniforms sent waves of nervous energy through the alien observers. These humans looked different from the cheerful workers and engineers they had seen before. These humans looked dangerous. Speaker Veltar stood slowly, his crystal body glowing with what could only be described as dread. Ambassador Kim, the Council has prepared for today's discussion. We have taken precautions. Hyun-woo noticed the additional security forces positioned around the chamber. Armed guards from multiple species stood ready, though what they thought they could do against the information they were about to hear was unclear. Speaker Veltar, Hyun-woo said formally, before we begin, I want to emphasize that everything we will discuss today is historical information. Earth is committed to peaceful cooperation with all galactic species. We understand, Veltar replied, though his tone suggested he was not entirely convinced. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee stepped forward to the center of the chamber. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded armies. The Council has asked about human capabilities during wartime, he said. I will answer this question, but I want to be very clear. What I describe represents humanity's past, not our intentions for the future. He paused and looked around. The chamber had hundreds of alien faces watching him with fearful anticipation. During Earth's last global war, which ended shortly before we achieved faster-than-light travel, human industrial production increased by 800% in the first year of conflict. The chamber erupted with shocked sounds. Aliens clicked, hummed, bubbled, and glowed with disbelief. 800%, gasped Commander Zek-Thul. That would require every member of your species to work without stopping. Not every member, Jae-hyun corrected. Only about 60% of the human population was directly involved in war production. The other 40% continued normal civilian work. 60% of your entire species? Admiral Morgath made horrified bubbling sounds. How many humans died from overwork? The death rate from overwork was actually lower during the war than during peacetime, Jae-hyun said. Humans work more efficiently when we have a clear purpose. General Sun-ho Kim stepped forward. He was an elderly man with scars on his hands and a calm demeanor that somehow made his words more frightening. I commanded industrial production during the war, he said. Human factories operated 24 hours per day with 3 8-hour shifts, but most workers volunteered for double shifts. Double shifts? The energy being Quintar pulsed rapidly. 16 hours of industrial work daily? Some workers insisted on triple shifts, Sun-ho continued. We had to implement mandatory rest periods to prevent workers from collapsing at their stations. You had to force people to stop working? Counselor Nix flickered with confusion. Yes, Sun-ho said. Workers became angry when ordered to rest. Many tried to sneak back into factories during their mandatory sleep periods. Admiral Hyejin Nam stepped forward next. She was a stern woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen space battles. Naval production was even more intensive, she said. Human shipyards were converted to continuous operation. We built one. Warship every 18 hours for 3 years. The aliens stared at her in shocked silence. The numbers were beyond their comprehension. Civilian volunteers worked alongside professional shipbuilders. Hyejin continued. Retired workers returned to shipyards. Students left schools to help with construction. Entire families worked together building ships. Families worked in weapons factories? Asked General Korthak. Yes, Hyejin said. Human families often work better together than individually. Family competition increased production rates even further. Colonel Min-Soo Park appeared via hologram from a military academy on Earth. He was a young man with the bearing of someone trained for combat. Perhaps I should explain human military training, he said. Human soldiers train for combat by working 18 to 20 hours daily under extreme physical stress. 20 hours of combat training? Commander Zekthul's insect eyes widened with horror. Yes, Min-Soo said. And soldiers compete to see who can endure the longest training sessions. The most respected soldiers are those who never quit, no matter how difficult the training becomes. What happens to soldiers who cannot maintain this pace? Asked Admiral. Morgeth, they train harder until they can, Min-Soo replied. Human military culture does not accept failure. Soldiers who struggle are given additional training until they succeed. Additional training beyond 20 hours daily? The shadow being Nyx wavered with disbelief. Sometimes, Min-Soo said. Dedication to improvement is highly valued in human military culture. The chamber fell silent as aliens absorbed this information. A species that trained their warriors by working them harder than other species could work at all was their worst nightmare. There is something else the Council should understand, said Jae-hyun. During wartime, human civilian populations also increase their work output. How? Asked Speaker Veltar, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. Children take over. Jobs from adults who join the military, Jae-hyun explained. Elderly people return to work to replace younger workers. Disabled people find ways to contribute to the war effort. Dr. Kyung-ja Lee, a historian, stepped forward. She was an elderly woman with kind eyes that had studied humanity's darkest periods. During our last war, she said, human children as young as 12 worked in factories after school. They considered it their duty to help. Children worked in weapons factories? Several aliens spoke at once, their voices filled with horror. Yes, Dr. Lee said. And they competed to see who could work the longest hours and produce the highest quality work. What about safety regulations? Asked Counselor Nyx. Safety was less important than production, Dr. Lee replied. Humans accepted higher risks to achieve victory. The aliens made various sounds of terror and disbelief. A species that put children to work in dangerous factories was beyond their understanding. But the most significant factor, Jae-hyun said, was human psychological response to conflict. When humans believe their survival is threatened, our work capacity increases dramatically. How dramatically? Asked Speaker Veltar, his crystal body flickering with dread. Conservative estimates suggest a 400% increase in individual productivity, Jae-hyun said. Some humans can work for days without sleep when properly motivated. Days without sleep? The energy being Quintar pulsed so brightly that several aliens had to look away. The longest recorded period was 9 days, Jae-hyun said. A human engineer worked for 9 days straight to repair critical life support systems during a siege. Did he survive? Asked Admiral Morgeth. Yes, Jae-hyun said, and he returned to normal work the next day. The chamber filled with terrified alien voices. The idea of working for 9 days without sleep seemed impossible, but they were beginning to understand that impossible did not apply to humans. "There is one final factor," Jae-hyun said, his voice growing serious. "Human war production was limited by our decision to maintain some civilian comforts and normal social structures." Limited? Speaker Veltar's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes," Jae-hyun said. "During total war, when human survival is completely threatened, we estimate that human industrial capacity could increase by up to 1,500% above peacetime levels." The chamber fell into complete silence. Even the life support systems seemed to pause. Hundreds of aliens sat frozen, trying to process numbers that defied all known biological and industrial limits. Finally, Speaker Veltar found his voice. "Ambassador Kim," he said slowly, "are you telling us that everything we have seen, the impossible expansion, the incredible construction speeds, the unbelievable work ethic, represents humans operating at less than 10% of your actual capabilities?" Hyun-woo looked around the chamber at all the terrified alien faces. "Speaker Veltar, that is approximately correct." The silence that followed was the sound of an entire galaxy realizing that they had completely misunderstood the species they had welcomed into their community. They thought they had been dealing with an aggressive, rapidly expanding civilization. They had actually been dealing with the most restrained and polite species in galactic history. The seventh and final day arrived with an atmosphere unlike anything the galactic community had ever experienced. News of the human revelations had spread to every corner of known space. Emergency sessions were being held on dozens of worlds, as governments tried to understand what they had learned. The Council station itself was in chaos. Thousands of aliens from hundreds of species had arrived, all wanting to witness the conclusion of what historians would later call the week that changed everything. The station's capacity was stretched beyond all limits. The Council chamber had been expanded again, but it was still not large enough. Millions more beings watched through live broadcasts across the galaxy. For the first time in galactic history, every known species was paying attention to a single event. When Ambassador Hyun-woo entered the chamber with his team, the silence was absolute. Hundreds of alien eyes watched every step he took. Some species had never been this quiet before, in their entire evolutionary history. Speaker Veltar stood slowly. His crystal body had stopped glowing entirely, as if all energy had been drained from him. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of a civilization coming to terms with a fundamental shift in their understanding of the universe. "Ambassador Kim," he said, "the Council has spent the night in emergency session. We have also been in communication with governments across the galaxy. What we have learned this week has changed everything." Hyun-woo bowed politely, the same way he had every day. "Speaker Veltar, we hope that our explanations have been helpful." "Helpful?" Veltar repeated the word slowly, as if testing its meaning. "Ambassador Kim, you have revealed that humanity has been operating at less than 10% of your actual capabilities. You have shown us that human politeness involves restraining your species to a degree that we never imagined. Possible." He paused, his crystal body beginning to glow faintly again. "The Council has reached several conclusions," Veltar continued. "First, we formally apologize for accusing humanity of using forbidden technologies or violating treaties. We now understand that you have been following all galactic laws while operating far below your actual potential. A wave of agreement sounds came from the alien observers. Clicks, hums, bubbles, and glows of acknowledgement filled the chamber. Second, Veltar said, we want to thank humanity for your restraint. If you had expanded at your natural pace, you would have colonized the entire galaxy before any of us realized what was happening. Commander Zekthul of the Zephyrians stood up on his insect legs. Ambassador Kim, my people have a question. Why did humans choose to restrain yourselves? You could have taken anything you wanted. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Commander Zekthul, that is easy to answer. Humans prefer cooperation to conquest. Working together is more interesting than working alone. More interesting? Admiral Morgeth bubbled from her water tank. You could have ruled the galaxy. Ruling the galaxy would be boring, said So Young Park, speaking for the first time in days. Humans like challenges. Ruling unwilling subjects is not challenging. Building things together with friends is much more fun. The aliens looked at each other with amazement. A species that chose cooperation over domination because domination was boring was beyond their understanding. General Korthak of the Kethmore leaned forward in his metal suit. What about competition? You have shown us that humans are extremely competitive. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. But competition is most fun when competitors are roughly equal. If humans had conquered other species, there would be no one left to compete. With Young Sik Choi, Earth's economic advisor, stepped forward. He was a cheerful man with the kind of smile that made complicated numbers seem simple. May I share some information about human industrial capacity? He asked. The aliens looked nervous, but Speaker Veltar nodded. The Council has been worried about human expansion speed, Young Sik said. You have seen humans colonize 17 star systems in 50 years, but this represents humans working very carefully to avoid disrupting galactic economics. What do you mean? Asked the energy being Quintar. If humans worked at normal peacetime capacity, Young Sik explained, we could colonize 17 star systems in about 18 months. The chamber erupted with shocked sounds. Even after everything they had learned, this number still surprised the aliens. And if humans worked at wartime capacity? Asked Counselor Nix, her shadow form flickering. Nervously, Young Sik paused and looked around the chamber. Approximately 6 weeks. The silence that followed was so complete that individual heartbeats could be heard from some of the alien observers. 6 weeks? Whispered Speaker Veltar. Yes, Young Sik said. But humans have no intention of working at wartime capacity. We prefer our current pace because it allows us to build relationships with other species. There is something else, said Da-Un Choi, the chief engineer. The colonies you have seen represent humans building conservative, sustainable settlements. If humans built temporary maximum efficiency colonies, the numbers would be much higher. How much higher? Asked Admiral Morgeth, though she seemed afraid to hear the answer. Humans could establish basic colonies on every habitable planet in the galaxy within 5 years, Darwin said. But these would be temporary work camps, not permanent cities. We prefer to build cities that will last for thousands of years. The aliens sat in stunned silence, trying to comprehend the scale of human capabilities they had just learned about. Speaker Veltar finally found his voice. Ambassador Kim, the Council has one final question. Given these capabilities, what does humanity want from the galactic community? Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at hundreds of alien faces watching him with mixtures of fear, respect, and curiosity. Speaker Veltar, he said, humanity wants exactly what we have been asking for. Since we joined the galactic community, we want to be friends. We want to work together on interesting projects. We want to learn from other species and share what we know. That is all, asked Commander Zekthul. That is all, Hyunwoo confirmed. Humans could have taken anything we wanted without asking permission. Instead, we asked to join the galactic community as equals because cooperation is more satisfying than conquest. Military advisor Jae-hyun Lee stepped forward for the last time. The Council should understand something important, he said. Everything we have revealed this week is information humans would have shared freely if anyone had asked. We have no secrets about our capabilities. We simply wanted to be polite neighbors. The chamber filled with alien voices expressing amazement, gratitude, and relief. Speaker Veltar stood up slowly, his crystal body glowing brightly for the first time in days. Ambassador Kim, he said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council and all member species, I want to make several announcements. He paused and looked around the chamber. First, humanity is hereby granted full council membership with all privileges and responsibilities. Second, any previous restrictions on human expansion are permanently lifted. Third, the Council formally requests human assistance with several galactic infrastructure projects that have been stalled for centuries. What kind of projects? Asked Hyunwoo, his eyes lighting up with interest. We have a list, Veltar said, but the most urgent is the construction of emergency evacuation routes for the Outer Rim colonies. The project was estimated to take 300 years with current galactic capabilities. Hyunwoo looked at his team of engineers and construction experts. They were all smiling with excitement. 300 years? Da-eun Choi asked, her eyes bright with interest. What exactly needs to be built? Hyperspace transportation corridors connecting 47 star systems, Veltar explained. The engineering challenges have been considered impossible by galactic standards. Impossible? Woo Jin-han, the terraforming specialist, grinned broadly. Speaker Veltar, humans love impossible projects. May we see the technical specifications? As holographic displays showed the massive construction project, the human team began talking excitedly among themselves. They pointed at different parts of the project, discussed solutions, and calculated timelines. How long would this take? Asked Admiral Morgeth. Young-Sik Choi was already running numbers on his tablet. Working at our current polite pace, with full environmental protections and safety margins, approximately 14 months. 14 months? Several aliens spoke at once. For a 300-year project? That's if we work carefully, Da-eun added. If it's truly an emergency, we could probably finish in 6 months. The chamber erupted with excited alien voices. Species that had waited centuries for critical infrastructure suddenly saw hope. There is more, Veltar continued. The Outer Rim has experienced food shortages due to agricultural limitations on hostile worlds. Traditional terraforming methods would take millennia. Terraforming? Woo Jin's eyes lit up like a child seeing presents. What kind of hostile worlds are we talking about? Desert planets with poisonous atmospheres, ice worlds with no sunlight, volcanic worlds with constant seismic activity, Veltar listed. Oh, those sound like fun challenges, Woo Jin said enthusiastically. We've been looking for some interesting terraforming projects. How many worlds need work? 43 worlds across the Outer Rim, Veltar replied. Woo Jin was already making notes. We could probably handle 10 worlds,